Hey guys, the episode you're about to listen to, just to give you a bit of a heads up, was not technically part of this show, but I've made it into an episode for Japan on Film as well, because it is based on a Japanese movie. And this is actually, I appeared on Asian Film Fans YouTube channel on one of their live episodes. The Arty Dance, who was on the show last season, that's his YouTube channel, and he co-hosts that with a Japan-based movie producer, Wilco Rullens, and they had me on to talk about Machine Girl. So it's technically their show, which is why they're doing the intro and all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of heads up so you're not confused. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks. And thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll talk to you next time.
Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Tonight's episode 16, by the way. Episode 16.
Yeah, 16.
Asian Movie Talk Show. I'm joined, as always, by the man of the year, official Time Magazine Man of the Year,
Maybe
Wilco
one day.
Rullens,
maybe one.
a super special guest, yet another super special guest. We are starting the year off with a bang. In that corner,
Down
is a gentleman
there,
named Perry from a little podcast, massive podcast, called Japan on Film. Perry, can you please introduce yourself to our awesome audience?
Thank you. Hey guys, glad to be here.
Yeah,
Excellent.
good to have you. Good to have you. So,
yeah, it's definitely a little podcast though. It's not that big.
It's got to start somewhere, just like Wilco and I have started somewhere.
yeah, well, we little guys have to stick together. So let's do a good show.
Yeah,
sure.
Cheers
Now,
to that.
tonight's show is all about Wilco.
Oh, do I have to say it?
Yeah, because
The
I get it wrong.
Machine
Remember?
Girl. Oh, I say it again. The Machine Girl. Oh yeah, you call it Monster Girl.
Yeah,
It's not Monster Girl. It's the Machine Girl.
Machine Girl, which I shouldn't get wrong because it's got one of my favorite actresses in this movie. So how the hell I got that wrong, I got no idea. The format of tonight will be that we are doing a dual recording. So tonight's episode will also be featured on Perry's Japan on Film podcast. Perry, can you just give us a little bit of an idea of a typical Japan on Film podcast and the kind of format you do? And then I'll hand it over to Wilco to do our usual intros.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, Japan on Film. I've been doing it for about maybe 2-3 years or so, something like that. It all started out because I teach a class in Japanese film and in my day job. And I was finding out at the end of the first year teaching that class that I had so many movies I wanted to talk about. I had so much stuff I wanted to say, and I just didn't have enough time to cover it all in class. So I decided to start the podcast. It started off with just a format, me just talking about the movies by myself. But then eventually I changed it up a little bit and started bringing on rotating guests to come on to talk about different movies. Dan, you came on one time to talk about, I think it was Yakuza?
Yeah, Like a Dragon?
Like a Dragon, yeah. And yeah, it's been fun. We do about 7 to 8 episode seasons. We do about 2 or 3 seasons a year, depending on time. And we kind of cover the wide range of movies. We covered horror, covered anime, covered samurai films, covered romantic comedies. We do them all basically.
Nice.
Of course, we're only interested in the horror.
Well, tonight at least.
Says Evening Santa. I'm not sure who you're pointing that one at. Is it
be me? Because I was
any of us could be Santa right now.
So the Christmas special, remember?
I do remember that. All right, Wilco, handing it over to you to do the intro, please.
Because how have we been? Last time because we've been gone for 2 months, and we're back now in 2022. Oh my God, look at that, 2022 already. And then last week, of course, we had this runaway train, Norman England, who just was so fascinating. I didn't want to interrupt him in order to tell some boring stuff about what I did in the meantime. So I will take that today as a opportunity quickly before our next guest starts to woo me with all his good stories. I first want to quickly get my story in there. So to start with, what have I been doing? Well, we just finished the European film market. It was EFM the last like a week and a half. So we streamed Stay Pretty, our promo, in order because we're looking for a U.S. producer to help us with casting and a theatrical release. So we're developing that. So we streamed the movie. We also streamed the movie 189, which is what we are representing as a international sales agent on the market. And also we represented Reflections, which is a film, a comedy film, a romantic comedy film, which we shot last October, which we're also representing as an international sales agent. Plus, we also did the line production for that film, which is very exciting. They're exciting new projects. They're projects with an extra 0 in the budget. So, you know, we're growing. Tokyo Bay Films is growing. And then you might think, hey, wait a minute, how about Culture Shock Japan? Well, don't worry about Culture Shock Japan because we're still going strong. We still have, you know, Homestay is going well, and Ouija Japan is going well. And actually, talking about Ouija Japan, I don't know if you're familiar with the Rule Morgue, but in this printed magazine, Ouija Japan actually is featured. So we are wrong page. We're happy that Ouija Japan is published and in a nice review in the Rule Morgue. So we have a nice publication of.
Hey,
Ouija
well
Japan.
done.
So that's pretty cool. That's a good, nice development. And now I'm also holding up these Blu-rays. I think we have a viewer called Glenn who is wondering like, hey, where is my giveaway prize? Well, I can tell you they're boxed, and around tomorrow we will ship them. So you'll have them in your own house very, very soon.
Beautiful.
And you think, well, you're now working with an extra budget. Are we going to no longer have the homestays and the Ouijas? Well, just a little bit of a resume just for this year, 2022, because we haven't spoken about this yet. Around October, Sheets will come out, which is around Halloween, because, you know, Halloween, we also always release one, and Sheets is coming out this Halloween. But we have a fourth movie, a movie that was lost for a little while, who is back in our possession at this moment, and we will try to release that around mid of 2022. So, which means don't worry about Culture Shock. You'll get 2 Culture Shock movies in 2022 if everything works out well. And that's just something I wanted to share with you guys. And actually, there is a 5th movie, but I'll come back to that later at the end of this show.
See, the Culture Shock box set is looking mighty impressive now.
It's getting a little thicker, yeah. At the point we're gonna do a box set, yeah. Because
Excellent.
we have material, we have like lots of deleted scenes, especially for Homestay. There's 20 minutes cut out of that movie, with even a scene with a guy running around with a chainsaw. So there's a lot of stuff that hit the cutting room floor, which we'll be happily putting in a box. But anyway, enough about me. Dan, how you been?
Well, I just want to let you know that it's been 2 years exactly since you and I have first made contact. Since I sent a little email to Tokyo Bay Films asking if they would be prepared to do some kind of marketing arrangement, and very shortly you replied back, and then we started our relationship then. So it's been an excellent 2 years. We've gone through a lot. We've gone through a lot of movies. Yeah. But as for me, nothing much. I'm trying to.
Aren't you painting? Aren't you going to move?
Yes, we're supposed to be selling our house soon and upgrading to something a little bigger.
That's quite something.
It is, but I've just been going through some stuff on our YouTube channels. I got a copyright strike this morning.
What?
For a review of Double World. I'm telling you now, this fucking movie is going to kill me. That's the second time that movie's given me a copyright strike. So I'm just never talking about that film ever again.
Wow.
And would you believe it's not the original Chinese distributor? It's a Indian streamer who copyright struck me. So I've decided to just
a streaming service or a guy?
Yeah, their distributor, their Indian distributor.
Okay.
And you know how usually I put video clips in my reviews? Double World was specifically just photographs. I deliberately avoided any copyright, and they still yep. So that throws a spanner in the works to all the YouTubers who do movie reviews. Otherwise, the weather's been stupidly hot here in Melbourne. I hate it. I'm waiting for daylight savings to end. I'm waiting for the footy season to start. I'm waiting for more movies to come out. And let's talk about movies. Let's talk film diaries. Now, Perry, we are jumping this up on you very last minute. But one of the things that Wilco and I like to do at the start of every episode is just to give a bit of a rundown on some of the movies we've seen recently. So Wilco go first, and I'll go first. So it'll give you a bit of time
first?
to.
You go
so
first.
Give Perry a bit of time.
I went first
Okay,
the
I'll go
first time, so you go first.
I'll just give Perry a bit of time to maybe quickly write down a list of what he's seen the last 2 weeks. So I'll go first. Of course, as always, we see a lot of Chinese films. So I watched Too Cool to Kill, which is the second biggest Chinese movie of the year so far, and it was hilarious, bloody hilarious. So thank you to China Lion for providing that. Last night, I watched the incredibly awful Coffin Homes. It's a Hong Kong comedy horror from Fruit Chan. All the reviewers called it a satire of the Hong Kong property market. I thought it was just a lame comedy, and my review will certainly show that. So I think it's one to avoid, and that's Coffin Homes. I saw The Battle at Lake Changjin, the big Chinese heroic patriotic war movie. Quite frankly, I thought that was okay. What else did I see? I saw New Kung Fu Cult Master with Donnie Yen, possibly one of the worst Donnie Yen movies ever made. And a Vincent Zhao movie called Invisible Tattoo, and that guy has officially lost the plot. A very bad Chinese fantasy movie. I also watched Drive My Car, and let me say, not worth the hype.
All right, we'll write it down. Not worth the hype.
Wilco?
Yeah, all right. So I will take from here. I have a few DVDs that I bought just to show you the good taste I have. But I cannot show you on the podcast for Japan on Film. So I will also, of course, tell you what it is. I will first, as a podcaster, if you just listen to the audio, you'll hear the reactions first of the two other guys, of Dan and Perry. And then I will tell you what it is. So the first one I bought is, it is Asian related because the director is an Asian.
Oh my God.
So that's Birdemic. I bought the DVD for Birdemic because I kind of adore it. So I wanted to own it in my collection. And then, and of course, the director is Asian. He is Vietnamese. So yeah, hey. And then I bought.
Oh God.
Yep. Birdemic 2, because you cannot have the first one without the second one. And now, of course, I'm so looking forward to Birdemic 3, because yes, it is shot. It is, as far as I know, it's done with production, and James Gwen is already teasing that the trailer will come out soon on his Facebook account. So I cannot wait for Birdemic 3. Besides that, some animations. This one is well, semi-Asian, but.
Huh?
Yeah, I noticed a little silence here because I'm pretty sure that nobody in general heard about this. But this is like a Birdemic type animation. Let's say it's not the best quality animation. It's from the notorious company Video Brinquedo. It is Little Panda Fighter. If you can look it up on YouTube, you can watch the whole thing, 45 minutes. But it's basically, it's been featured in channels like Your Movie Sucks and those type of and the Search for the Worst. Those type of YouTube channels already covered this very low-grade animation, let's say 3D animation. But again, it's something that I adore, so I wanted to have it on.
So just in case Perry decides to keep this segment for his podcast, the cover is very much of a Kung Fu Panda ripoff.
Okay, yeah. It's definitely a Kung Fu Panda ripoff, and we see a very poorly animated CG panda on the cover with a polar bear in the back and some other very ugly characters. But it's endearing. It's nice. And then besides that, we have another one talking about ripoffs. How about this one?
Oh, God. Ratatouille.
So Ratatouille from the same company with the same awesome 3D quality. This is also one of my favorites, and they made many of these type of films, but just Ratatouille and Little Panda Fighter are just my personal favorites. The rest is genuinely unwatchable, but I kind of have a little soft spot for these two.
Can you put both of those covers back up for me?
Yes, of course. so you can describe them for the listeners.
So Panda Fighter it's got a very bad panda on the front cover, which is a lot skinnier. He looks like he's on a diet.
Yeah.
Ratatouille is obviously very clearly a Ratatouille clone, but the emphasis here is on the mouse being able to what looks like cook just Swiss cheese, and not the fantastic dishes that he was cooking in Ratatouille. Obviously, one of them being Ratatouille.
Well, that's the thing. That in the movie, those are the great dishes, because the film, in very short, is about a rat who has a little restaurant, and other rats who have a restaurant is not as successful want to know his secret of his great recipes. And then they figure out that they, at night, secretly, because they live beside a human restaurant, they go like all Mission Impossible covert operation into the human kitchen to steal the latest ingredients. And that's how they got like strawberries. But that's also, it's not like in the movie, the real movie, that he has like these great recipes. It's more like he gets fresh strawberries, and then the strawberries are the great food. It's more about the ingredients than about the recipes, let's say.
Right.
But anyway, enough about that.
Well, Perry, you've got big shoes to fill. You've got me with the Chinese, Wilco with the B grade, Z grade ripoff movies.
Yeah.
How could you possibly beat either of those two?
I don't think I can, to be honest. But I also went on a DVD buying spree. In December, I went back to the States for the holidays, and so my family could meet my daughter and my wife, and so we could watch my sister get married. And one of the things I like to do when I get back there is just go and hit up some of the recycled DVD shops, because they cost like $3-4 a pop now there. And so I just loaded up on a bunch of stuff, but I'm not going to go through the whole list of stuff. But also I've been watching stuff for Japan on Film, recording a lot of episodes for the new season. And for my class too, just a few of them. Let's see here. Watched The Emperor in August, about the last day, the Emperor's decision to surrender at the end of World War II. We watched Shin Godzilla. And for Japan on Film, so far we've watched Grave of the Fireflies, Shall We Dance, Nausicaa, and Dark Water, and now Machine Girl, today's movie. But that's it. Other than that, just like regular, regular run-of-the-mill movies. Saw the new Bond movie. Finally saw the new Venom movie, Eternals. All the up to date and all the superhero stuff, basically.
All right,
Grave of Fireflies is the movie that you only ever watch once.
Speaking about all the superhero movie, that's a nice little bridge, because I also want to talk about some modern stuff before we hit it off with the Machine Girl. I in the 2 months that we had a break, I had a little of a Spider-Man binge watch with the missus, and because we saw Spider-Man No Way Home, and then the missus was like, hey, what about the content? I don't know, did you guys saw the movie?
Oh yeah, that was one of the things that I said that we definitely have to do when we were back in America, because it didn't come out here in Japan until January. So when we were back there, I'm like, we're going to see No Way Home. That's a given. So yeah, we made my mom watch the baby, and we went out to see it.
That's a pretty good. What do you thought about it?
Oh, I loved it. It was just the right amount of fan service for me. Didn't go overboard with it, but it gave me just enough that it left me wanting more.
So Dan, did you see it?
Oh, I don't watch superhero movies. You know that.
All right. But anyway, not to spoil it for Dan, Spider-Man.
You can spoil it. Go away.
All right. Well, anyway, Spider-Man No Way Home brings all the Spider-Man together. Let's say we have all the old movies are now also part of the MCU because of the multiverse. Now, basically, there's I'm not going to explain how the movie works, but let's just say all three Spider-Man of the Sam Raimi one and then the Andrew Garfield. So the Tobey Maguire one and the Andrew Garfield one are both in this movie as well. It's Spider-Man No Way Home has all the Spider-Man, the popular modern Spider-Man in it since the
Tobey Maguire is in it.
Yeah, yep. Tobey Maguire is in as Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield is in as Spider-Man. Plus, we have Doc Ock is back in this movie.
I have seen him in the commercials.
The Green Goblin is in this movie, played by the original actors. Also,
Willem
Sandman.
Dafoe.
Yeah,
Willem Dafoe's in it.
Dafoe is in there.
He's amazing in it. He does a much better job than he did in the first Spider-Man movie, actually.
Ooh. And Alfred Molina's back as Doc Ock too.
Yep,
exactly. And
I did
from
like
the
the first
Andrew
Spider-Man.
Garfield movies. Excuse me, what?
I did like the first Spider-Man. I really enjoyed it.
Well, the same Spider-Man and the same villain are back, and he is in the same level as quality as his first movie. So I think you should maybe give it a go.
Yeah, but that animated Spider-Man was really good.
Oh, Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah, that was amazing.
Was
that one?
There's been 2 though, hasn't there?
No, there's one, but
Not
there's
one. Just the one. Yeah.
Yeah, there's one that's
awesome.
But there's a new one coming, and it's going to be a part 1 and 2. So there are 2 more coming. Let's say.
Yeah, that animated one was terrific.
I think you will enjoy Spider-Man No Way Home, but you kind of have to then also watch the other 2. But then you also kind of have to watch some Avengers in order to get the whole story. And that's also what we did, because I was all up to speed, but the girlfriend wasn't. So we had to watch all the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans. Then we had to watch the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. We had to watch the Avenger, first Captain America Civil War, and then let's do a Doctor Strange as well, because he's a big part of that movie. And then we had to do Avengers, the Infinity War and Endgame, in order to be really complete. And of course the 2 MCU Spider-Mans before that, in order to have 12, 15 movies, or to have the full story of only Spider-Man. But I tell you, it all comes together in that one movie. Oh, and of course Venom 1 and 2 had to be watched in order to also linked with the Spider-Man universe. So all those movies are linked together. The only thing we miss is the Japanese Spider-Man and of course the 70s Spider-Man, but everything else is all linked in this one movie. So it's pretty.
Although I think the cool. Japanese Spider-Man, they said they're gonna have him in the Into the Spider-Verse sequel.
That would probably be a better fit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we start the conversation of Machine Girl, do you want to address MM's question on the bottom of the screen?
Now, is he a cannibal rat and serves up rats to other rats? No, but I guess that's a plot for the one we will make. That's our animated rat movie, I guess.
Okay.
But before we go to Machine Girl, I kind of told Dan that I wanted to talk about one movie in particular before we start with Machine Girl. Yes. And I will skip the other 2, but very quickly, I saw The King's Man, the 3rd Kingsman movie, which I was surprised that it was very similar to the first 2 because it's a prequel and I didn't expect that. Scream 5, or the new Scream I saw, which was interesting, which is, it was faithful to the original 4 movies, or let's say 3, but I dig the 4th one. Thought the 5th one was a little lower than the 4th one, in my opinion, but still a very worthy follow-up. But the film I wanted to talk with Dan about, and I hope Dan saw it, and I hope that Perry saw it too, because I want to talk about it. The new Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, dude, it just came out.
It just came out 2 days ago.
It came out on Netflix 3 days ago.
Yeah, come
on Netflix, so you don't have to go to the theater. It's just right there. You guys didn't see it, but then I have to wait until you saw it, because then I want to talk about it. Okay, so Machine Girl.
Machine Girl. What a film. So, Perry, do you want to give a quick maybe synopsis of a Machine Girl?
So so the story centers on this teenage girl, Ami, and her and her brother. They've been living by themselves basically after their parents were framed for murder, and then they killed themselves to avoid the murder charges. And her brother's been getting bullied at school, and he eventually he ends up getting killed by the bullies, and that leads Ami to kind of go on a revenge kick, which eventually ends up with her getting attacked by the Yakuza that we see there on the screen, getting her arm chopped off, and then she gets helped by the parents of her brother's friend who was also killed, and they run a car shop, and they end up designing a machine gun arm for her to use in her quest for vengeance. And that's basically it. And it's just a lot of blood, a lot of over-the-top action, and little weird to see Asami playing the mother of Ami's friend when she's actually younger than the actress playing Ami. So I thought that was interesting. And we got the drill bra up there on the screen too. Yeah, it's just it's the kind of stuff you've come to expect from if you've ever seen any of Noboru Iguchi's films before. It's the kind of stuff you've come to expect from him. But I think for my part, I thought this was actually a bit better than some of these schlocky movies that comes out of Japan. I thought there was, and a lot of that came down to the two main actresses. And I think it's because the actress who plays Ami as well. She especially, she has this earnestness about her, and even like the really stupid lines, like she plays it pretty straight throughout, and it actually seems to work really well for the movie.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you, because maybe you should come back more often, because we never really have a summary of the movie before we start talking about it. We're very bad at that. So thanks for that to start with. Second of all, I totally agree with you that this movie looks... I was surprised seeing it after a while that it actually was trying to tell a coherent story, which after Tokyo Gore Police and the movies we saw afterwards, it is like so much spectacle that the story just kind of gets swallowed up by it. And this one took its time to actually try to tell a coherent story, and that was surprising. And also I noticed one thing that I haven't seen for a while in later movies, and I guess I have been watching too many Tomomatsu films to be, you know, desensitized on the crap. But the thing is that this movie actually had a lot of interesting camera shots. It had like riders and you know, jibs, and even some maybe even a crane, I believe, at one point. But they have like extra equipment that you don't really see in cheaper schlocky movies, especially in the later date of these type of things. So in that way, it was actually a serious attempt. Of course, the content is, you know, it's the content, but it is actually made with a serious undertone. Let's say they really put effort in it. That's what I'm trying to say.
For a Noboru Iguchi film, it really took me by surprise that he kept all the clothes of the women on. So that was surprise number one.
Well, panty shots. We had panty shots.
We had a panty shot, yeah. But the gore fountains at the start, and then there was this long period of time without any gore, and then he ramps it up at the end. So I love the fact that he saved his gore budget for that at the end. And recently I saw Coffin Homes, I told you guys about. The only good thing about that movie was the Iguchi and Tomomatsu style, Nishimura style gore fountains in that. So,
oh, really? That movie has that?
Yeah, plenty of gore fountains. And,
wow.
But I still think this movie does, Japan does them better.
I mean, an opening like that is like brilliant. It's like that was, you know, this movie is the one that started all for me, where my whole journey towards Japan started, with these modern guys from horror guys like the Nishimuras and the Noborus and the Takasakaguchis. This is kind of where it started for me to be like, hey, I should go to Japan to make this type of crap. But then instead of crap, I said this type of brilliant ass movies I want to make myself as well, because I love the creativity. I love the content. I thought that everything looks, it's like when I saw it the first time was without subtitles. I just took in the visuals. It was just, I was just captivated by the visuals. And later I saw it with subs, and I was surprised by how childish the dialogue is, but that's a different story. But yeah, this movie started all for me. Of course, I saw horror movies before I saw this one, a Japanese one, you know, the ghosty ones, and of course before that the Evil Death Traps and all the crazy stuff. But because it was, you know, this is like a new, like a modern filmmakers, a new group of filmmakers in Japan that for me, it started with Machine Girl, of finding that out and discovering them and wanting to be part of it. So yeah, I think it's kind of special for that. It has a little, you know, a special place in my heart, at least. But
I have a question for you both. And I realized this after the movie had finished, but where the hell does the actual intro fit into the movie?
I was wondering about that myself. I think it seems to slot in somewhere between the scene when she takes Miki to the house to recover. I think it's supposed to happen in that portion, because it doesn't seem to fit at the end of the movie, which is what I thought the first time I saw it.
Yeah, I also think it was probably straight after the garage scene, probably.
Yeah.
That because at one point you see Mickey go to the house alone, and I guess probably around that time that she took a little detour to take revenge on the guys who killed her brother.
How did she
That's what I
find
think.
where those bullies were? Oh, it was the same
Well,
building, wasn't it?
the same building, so I guess
Yeah.
you just checked it out if they were there or not. Yeah, sure, it's heroic, and but the same thing happened in Vampire Girl versus Frankenstein Girl. You have also this opening that was somewhere later in the movie in between scenes. But yeah, I think that Perry nailed it. I think it's probably around that area that that scene should fit.
Something
So
Wilco mentioned too. He was talking about Tokyo Gore Police and
Yeah.
comparing it, because this was, I think, probably not the first one, because I think Ichi the Killer would probably qualify. But I mean, Ichi the Killer is of a much higher quality of filmmaking, but still.
Ichi the Killer, in my opinion, is also not part of this type of film. Ichi the Killer is more, yeah, it's from a older,
Right.
an older, type of. I recall that it was an earlier period than before
Right.
these guys started.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, then this would be the first one of these that I'd really seen, and I still think it's the best one, because I went after this one and I went to see, and I saw Tokyo Gore Police, and I was expecting to like that one more, just for the fact that I love Eiji Shina from Audition, and she was starring in it, so I figured, oh, this is perfect. It'd be like Machine Girl, but with Eiji Shina, and it was just really kind of disappointing. It just didn't hold up as well as Machine Girl did.
Oh wow! But this is where you're focused on, right? Because I love Tokyo Gore Police because I was focused on the gore, and I got 3 times the gore. So for me, it's
true. Yeah, yeah. If you're focused on the gore, then yeah, definitely definitely has a higher watermark.
But I see your point. But I do think that the lead of this movie did a really good job, like you said. She shined. And that for a porn star, because that's the thing. In this era, they're still all porn stars. So also this lead is a porn star.
She's she's a gravure idol, so mostly
idol.
like so mostly like bikini movies and stuff like that. I don't know if she did any nude stuff, but she didn't do any AV stuff.
Okay, well,
Asami, who plays Mickey, she was an AV star before.
And I heard that the lead was also a porn star at one point, but maybe then my memory is failing me, because that's what I learned back when I first saw it, like around 2000. When did this movie came out again?
2008.
Yeah.
2008. Yeah, I probably saw it around 9 or 10, the 2010 probably. Oh no, I cannot pinpoint when. Probably 2010. I heard that they were both porn stars. I just learned later from Nishimura himself that they don't always hire porn stars, but that was kind of the rumor, or like the talk about these type of films. So or my memory is wrong, or I'm just wrong, but I thought that the lead was also doing that. But if you say Graveyard Idol, well, that's just a step before. But I hope she didn't, because I hope she did better.
No, she went on to do a lot of other types of media in Japan. Like she was on some Kamen Rider stuff, and then she's done a lot of like TV work and like the variety shows and that kind of thing.
Okay, then we can safely assume she didn't do porn, but at least
she did reprise her role in the sequel, though.
She did.
I think it was just archive footage, though. I believe.
Oh,
because Shyness Machine Girl, it's only like a 55-minute movie. And at least I read about Asami that all of her scenes in that movie were archival footage. So I assume it's the same for Yoshido.
Oh,
but
wait,
sure.
there is a little sequel that is, very short. But there's also a remake that came out like a year or two ago.
Rise.
Right, that's Rise of the Machine Girls, right? Yeah, I just discovered that last night.
It's got our friend Tack in it.
Yeah, but at least I'm happy to hear that at least the lead for Machine Girl didn't do porn, because I was afraid of that. That's what I heard.
These conversations always result into which actress did porn. So I'm going to get us back on track.
Hello, that's the nature of these movies.
I agree. And you don't cast Asami without at least asking her to show something, and Noboru didn't, and that was actually pretty cool. But there's a clear Army of Darkness reference in this film. Evil Dead 3.
Okay.
Oh, Evil Dead 2, I should say. Evil Dead 1. Wait a second. When did Ash put on the chainsaw arm?
That was
2.
No, wasn't that No, wait, you're right. You're right. It was Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, so there's a very clear Evil Dead 2 reference in this film.
All right.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Chainsaw,
and
yeah.
you know, stumpy arm and the machine gun. I actually really liked the machine gun. You know, logically and engineering wise, it makes zero sense how it could shoot that many bullets that quickly, not overheat, not burn her arm off.
And also the fact that she has no trigger on the little stumpy.
Yeah, that true? Yes.
Yeah, well, and when he was when Miki's husband was talking about how he's got to figure out how to the trigger, I'm like, I don't understand where the trigger's supposed to go.
How is she gonna use it?
Yeah.
And the physical weight of that thing would, you know, I'm not sure how she would be able to lift it up.
Oh yeah, that gun probably weighs more than she does.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
But in regards to the splatter movie weapons, this could be one of the coolest.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, you know, I guess because it's so obvious that I didn't even see the reference to Evil Dead. I mean, it is so obvious that I never thought about that. Not when I saw it the first time, not when I saw it this time. Sure, there was also a chainsaw, applicant. How do you call that?
Asami has the chainsaw. Yeah.
Yeah.
On her leg.
But she has a chainsaw at the end.
Ami gets it on her arm at the end.
Yeah, but I didn't really. I guess it was so obvious that I didn't see that reference. I just saw it as an original, its own thing, and I never really made the connection.
Yeah, I never thought of it as an Evil Dead reference either. I just thought, oh, she's putting the chainsaw on her arm. That makes sense.
Oh. Yeah, because first she had a machine gun, and now it's a chainsaw. And then in Tokyo Gore Police, you had one without arms and legs and walked on 4 swords. So you know, it's like, and then the Planet Terror came out, and then Rodriguez had like a machine gun leg. But I think that one actually came out officially a little earlier than Machine Girl.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe it came out in 2007, I think, or 2006. Because I know this one came out right because I moved to Japan in 2008, so this came out right before I moved to Japan.
Okay.
So judging from TMDB, it says that this movie predates Tokyo Gore Police by 10 months. This is a January release. Tokyo Gore Police is an October release.
Well, it's like Norman England said last year, right? I mean, last episode. It was they started with Nikatsu, and Nikatsu thought these movies would make money, so they started, mass produce them. So I guess that's kind of around the time that they start financing these type of things.
So is there a version of this movie with a Japanese credit intro? Because my version is full English, except for the end credits.
Also, the bootleg that I saw 10 years ago also had the English in it. So I think they just did it I think it's made for the international market, to be honest.
Yeah, I bought it. This was one of the last DVDs I bought in America before moving to Japan. So I definitely had the one with the English opening too. But I was wondering about that as well because it makes me want to. I'll check out the rental shop next time I'm there, see if it's there.
I imagine English.
Yeah, I imagine most of them. I think they do that sometimes for like stylistic reasons, especially if they're going for certain feel. They'll use like English opening. So I think it might be the same on the Japanese version.
Well, they went for Grindhouse. If you look at the lettering and the font, it's really a Grindhouse type film.
And especially because Grindhouse in Japan, the movie, it got a full 6-disc set release in Japan that it never got in the West. Like in America, you just had the separate DVDs, but in Japan you had and I got it. It's a nice set. It's a full 6-disc set. You've got Planet Terror and Death Proof on each of their own discs, and then you've got a full uncut version of them all together with all the trailers and all of that.
The whole presentation.
The whole
That's
thing.
cool.
The whole presentation. Yeah, it's a nice set.
That's cool. Well, just an insight for you guys, because I met Noboru. I had meetings with him, and he told me that when I told him that Machine Girl is one of my favorites, he said that he wrote the story for Machine Girl waiting in line at Disneyland. So he was just standing there with his phone typing away while he was waiting for, I don't know, the mountain splash or some shit. But he's like standing there like, oh yeah, lose her arm, blah, blah, blah. So the whole story was just plotted out on his phone waiting in line at Disneyland. So that's a little trivia right there from
It's a bit of
Noboru.
maybe a bratty Yakuza kid running around. He thought, well, I'd like to get revenge on that kid.
Yeah, maybe there was an annoying kid in front of him. You're like, oh, I'll get you.
So, Iguchi's he's not usually one to tell social messages. That's more Tomomatsu's style. Is there anything he's trying to say in this film about anything, or is this just a gory revenge movie?
Entertaining revenge movie, yeah. Entertaining Grindhouse type revenge movie. That's what I think he tried to do with it.
What do you reckon, Jerry?
I think there's a definite message here, maybe intentional or not. But after living in Japan for so long and having worked in Japanese schools, I definitely see the bullying, it being a very strong bullying message come through, and also commenting on just like the permissiveness of parents of those types of shit kids, because I've seen that a lot. I've even got some of my adult English students are teachers themselves, and just hearing them talk about the shit the parents let their kids get away with. I think there's a lot of that in there as well. You know, particularly with that family, that Ryota's family, where the father's a cop. He comes from a family of cops, and then they're just kind of like, oh, well, you know, maybe your brother got bullied because he deserved it, and all this kind of crap. And it's just like that happens so often in Japan. It's sickening.
The mother is really deceptive because she looks like the type that would be very apologetic, very shocked that her son would be doing that. Yet she's the one with the knife looking to kill Amy. And I've got Army, sorry. And I do have a nice picture of something that she does to her. There it is.
Yeah,
where she covers it. She accidentally puts her hand in tempura, and then she just decides to deep fry her hand. And look, and how sadistic she was when it happened. It's not something I'd expect if I looked at a character that looked like that guy's mother.
But also her evil laugh, of course, while she's doing it.
Oh, that banshee type shrieking.
Yeah.
She does a lot of good work with her eyes in that scene. Like she's got real hardcore crazy eyes when she's doing that, and that actress did a really good job selling that part of it. Although I will say the tempura arm bugged me a little bit, because at both times I watched this movie, I think, because I first watched it, years ago, and then watching it again last night for the first time in like 10 years, and seeing that scene, I'm like, oh, that's right. This is when she gets her arm removed. And then that very night, her arm's got not a scratch on it. While meanwhile, the father's face is completely scarred to shit.
I think I was saying that to Wilco, wasn't I, before you jumped on, Perry? That it seemed weird that I thought this is where she'd lose her arm as well, and it wasn't. And in fact, no one even ate it.
Speaking about that, what are your things you don't like about this movie?
Me first or Perry first?
Let's do Dan first.
I don't like the Yakuza family. I don't like the way they behave. But I understand that that's done to make them grotesque. You make you hate them.
Perry?
I'm not sure there's much I didn't like. Yeah.
I think the middle of the movie kind of drags a little bit. I think it when they slow down the action and they focus on the character stuff, because the character stuff is not that strong, even though it's stronger than most of these movies, it's still not really strong enough to justify all that downtime. So I think I would have probably cut a few minutes out of that if I were doing an edit of this movie. Okay. But there's nothing I really like actively disliked. I'd say. I think it's just that kind. During that part, I did kind of feel like it. Okay, let's move it along.
Well, like I said, I saw this movie the first time without subtitles, so I just only took it in visually. And the thing that bothered me from the start, and I guess also now rewatching it, is the outfits of the parents when they take revenge. Those football outfits with the pictures of their kids on their chest, for some reason, looked so cheap even then. That's the only thing that I really had an issue with. Not an issue with that I be like, oh my god, I put it off, but more like, that they they probably ran out of money right at that point with this helmet and this protection gear on the shoulders, or either this football gear, and then
a
this picture on the
photocopy printout of the picture of the
yeah,
child.
this is such a cheap outfit, and I also didn't understand that it were parents and what was going on because I saw it without the subs back in the day. So I really thought that these were just some kind of hired assassins, and for that, I thought the outfits were really subpar. So that's the only thing that really annoyed me, because I see through the fake machine gun. I can see through the fake head in the soup. I can see through the tempura not making any sense, but it fits in the world. But the outfits of those parents at the end, that was where I thought, oh, come on, you could have put a little bit more effort in that. But that's the only thing in my opinion.
I also thought that the scale of injuries was really weird because, like I said, Ami gets her arm deep fried. She gets her breast smashed with the drill bra, and she never has a scratch on her. Meanwhile, Miki gets one tiny little cut on her abdomen, and she's like unconscious for like half the middle of the movie.
Yeah, and then they wonder, where does Tokyo Homestay Massacre get that from, eh?
Yes, you're right. I never clicked that Ami seems to be some kind of superhuman. That she got her breasts smashed by the drill bra, and then the next scene everything's fine. You're right. There's no scars on her arm about getting deep fried. I now find something I didn't like, and it was the CGI that was used.
Yeah, I was going to say that as well. That was
okay.
And
fair enough.
Here is the great example of it when I get it. It looks just out of place. But this shot's not too bad, I thought, but like the beginning scene is the one really stuck out at me when they're like blowing the guy's head away, and it just. I wish they would. I understand they had a low budget, but I wish they would have, used like some sort of practical effect for that, or have like some dummy getting covered in blood, getting blown away. It would have been a lot.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They have that in the next scene, so it's like they go back and forth with that. But yeah, you're right. The VFX back in the day were a little bit more straightforward. That they actually just take a chunk out of the face and then think, oh, that's the same as being shut off. It's like eating up in JPEG. It's like.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. It looked like an After Effects kind of effect where it was just a puzzle effect of disappearing. But still, it didn't detract from the whole movie.
No, what is the best part for me is the lead covered in blood, and then the whole aesthetic of that's what draw me in the first place. I mean, she's a pretty girl. The blood looked good. It's like actually pretty good blood makeup also, which in later movies, for some reason there's a little bit more quality of the people involved in this film than in later movies. I don't know how to explain it. It's about the camera work. It's about how the makeup work. It's everything that's practical and on screen is just done by maybe a little bit more higher end guys than we think than in later movies.
It's more Vampire Girl level rather than Lust of the Dead level. It's definitely that level.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you both. Does this movie or do movies like this work with male leads? Or does it only work and does it only feel great because the leads are female? And they're small females too, because I'm even thinking Zombie Ass. She's tiny. In Vampire Girl, she's not the biggest girl either.
Tak Sakaguchi, that's your example right there. Versus Yakuza weapon.
I suppose, yeah, you've got a couple there, but he's a name. He's a big name. He can carry any film. Does the same thing happen with an up and coming male actor?
But was he that big when he made Versus though?
Well, that's the thing. Versus, he was nobody. That was just his first movie, and then the director became big, and he became bigger in his own local scene. But yeah, he was the first. That's the first time we saw him, and I think he was great in that.
But Versus is okay. Versus is 2000, so Versus is a long time ago.
That's
Versus
true. It's a little bit of
the start of this whole movement. Yeah. So I suppose we can probably forgive that point. I'm gonna call a trump card on that one and forgive that point.
All right.
But
and no, only women.
Sorry,
I mean,
Perry, you were gonna-
I'm not as familiar with these movies as you guys are, but the ones I'm familiar with, it's always been women. I think it's part of that whole fetishization aspect. I think that goes into a lot of these movies. So you've got like
True.
the geisha outfits in the like Robo Geisha, or you've got the schoolgirl outfit in this one, or also in the most recent one I've seen of these which is a while ago, was Bloody Chainsaw Girl. And that's another example where
Love that.
it's a girl in it's a girl in the schoolgirl outfit. It's that fetishization aspect, I think, of it that plays a lot into it.
I 100%
She's a tough
agree
girl.
with that. Yeah.
Bloody Chainsaw Girl is a tough girl. Like, she's not meek and mild.
Well, Ami is also a tough girl because she already
That
beat
is
a few
true.
guys up before she got her arm cut off. She was already those guys that tried to rape her. She already fucked them up before before
that's
anything
true.
happened.
Yeah, she's trying not to use violence, but that's
because
that's
the thing
kind of the
is
thing
that
she's going through.
the whole murderer aspect of she doesn't want to be the killer, but she's from a line of killers, let's say.
Well, something else too, I think that helps set this movie apart is she does have a character journey. It's not particularly deep, but it is a character journey.
True.
And also, like Wilco was saying about the camera work, I was comparing this in my mind to Bloody Chainsaw Girl when I was watching it, and the quality of filmmaking of this is so sophisticated compared to Bloody Chainsaw Girl, because that really looks like they just took advantage of an abandoned school building somewhere, just shot it with a handheld camera.
Yeah, it's a lot of handheld work in later movies and in cheap movies, and this one actually has equipment. That's what I try to express with the dollies and the crane. I don't think there was a crane shot, but they at least had riders. They at least had like smooth, camera movements that you don't see in like Tomomatsu. Of course, we talked with Norman England as well. He doesn't care about the visual, about how the movie looks, so it's all handheld, it's all shaky, it's all wobbly, and that's also with other schlocky movies.
To be fair, Bloody Chainsaw Girl has some great effects. The little spider head girl, I love that character, where she delivers all the medication and stuff to the chainsaw girl. I think she's effects wise, I think that kills it. It kills
because
this movie.
Machine Girl is still shot in the same crappy camera that they normally use. They don't use high-end cameras because you can see it on the fuzziness of basically the footage. But they just used more care while using a lower-end camera. That's, the main point.
It was a pretty sharp picture that I saw. It was a very clean, sharp picture.
Yeah, I actually had I've got some big studio production Japanese films and the DVD of this was definitely of a higher quality than some of those were. Some of the US release DVDs I have. Oh yeah.
Yeah, this one seems to be a very clean release compared to, like you say, some of the other ones. The Lust of the Deads you can throw away. They look.
Well, even outside of just the schlocky stuff, like when they were in the early 2000s, when a bunch of these DVD distributors were pumping out Japanese movies for the direct-to-video market, you could tell that they weren't really very concerned about the quality they were putting into the transfer. And there's a lot of those movies that there's lots of fuzziness, there's lots of tracking and stuff like that, but this one it's very crisp compared to those.
All right,
so I want to talk about Asami. Of course I do.
Okay, of course.
Dan's one of the biggest fans of Asami. I was talking to Wilco before you jumped on, Perry, that what I didn't like about Asami in this was her fight scenes are very stilted. Now, in later films, she does a lot of the choreography, like Erotibot. She did all the action choreography. And even as we get to later films, I think she was even heavily involved in some of the stuff in Gun Woman. The fights are more smoother. She can take hits better. She can deliver hits better. I felt in this film, her action scenes was like, okay, well, you punch me. Boom. Okay, now I'm going to punch you. And there was no smoothness. So I suppose, Wilco, when you ask what I didn't like, now maybe that's a point. I didn't like some of these action scenes that didn't flow well. I'm not expecting Shaw Brothers Kung Fu level of action. But certainly now that I've seen a lot more Asami stuff, I know that she can do a lot better than what she did in this film.
I did think she was nice and chubby and wiggly.
Yeah, that
Jiggly,
helped.
I mean.
That helped. That helped with the mother persona, as Perry says.
Yeah.
You know, just fixing up her
Because
age gap between her and
dried
Amy.
up a little
Rummy.
bit later in movies. She got a little bit, I guess, because of all the fighting, and I guess she was training more. She dried up a little bit in later films, but in this one, she's still a little bit more in the, you know, what you need for gravy and then porn. You have to be a little bit more filled in, let's say. So a little bit more pillowy, let's say, in this film.
Can I say, as Perry said, her playing a mother, it really threw me off. It's not how I picture Asami. She's the gun woman. She's the machine gun toting crazy killer in Lust of the Dead. You know, she's a zombie in Zombie Ass Toilet of the Dead. She's a severed head in the movie Brutal, but she's never been a mother as far as I can remember. And that threw me off.
I had no problem with that. Did you have a problem with that, Perry?
I just thought it was interesting that she's playing the mother when she's younger than Yashiro. That was the only thing with the. I didn't have a problem with her as the mother. I thought she did a fine job in that. It's just the age difference, the lack of age difference. I should say, just kept jumping out at me.
All right, and makeup took care of that quite well. They gave Asami a short haircut. They colored her hair that kind of red color. So that certainly made her look a lot older. And of course, the kind of the mechanic's clothing certainly didn't bring out any youthful look in her. And she was quite interesting as a mechanic. Like when she's trying to, she keeps working to try and get over the death of her son. And, the husband comes down and goes, "Don't overwork, you'll make a mistake. I want to keep working." And she just snaps at him. Yeah, it was an unusual character for me, and I still liked it. It was just completely unexpected. And like Perry said, she gets this tiny little cut on her belly, and boom, all of a sudden she's out. A bit of inconsistency in some of the writing and the way that the characters are built in that film. Still a fun film. Still a really fun film.
It's charming.
I thought too, Dan, I think I agree with you on not only Asami's fight scenes, but anytime they had like hand-to-hand fighting, I felt it was kind of stilted. It didn't quite flow very well. When they involved the weapons, then Iguchi seemed to be much more at home. And because he's like, "Oh, I know what to do now. Like now we're gonna get to have blood splatter." But when it was the physical hand-to-hand fighting type stuff, it felt very stilted and very staged.
So who was everyone's favorite character?
I'll just go with the lead.
Oh, it's too easy. You have to have another one. A periphery.
Have to have another
periphery character then. We can't say Asami either.
Then you go first.
I like the three ninjas. I thought they were hilarious. They weren't in it for very long, but they were well choreographed. They used their swords really well. They were essentially just movie fodder. We knew they weren't going to last very long, but I did like the three ninjas. I had a bit of fun seeing them on screen, and there was a link to the Yakuza family saying that they come from the gang of ninjas, the Hattori Hanzo clan. So there was at least that link of ninjas. They just weren't there for the hell of it. It kind of made sense in the context of the film. So I like the three red ninjas.
Okay. With your criteria, I have 0 favorite characters in that movie.
I was going to go with Ami, but then you said that we can't pick her or Miki, so I don't know. It's
well, Ami's too obvious. She's awesome.
I thought the mother was pretty entertaining. The Yakuza mother. She's clearly having a lot of fun in that role. She's just like eating up all the scenery. I thought she was kind of fun. But also, I guess the only one would be the housewife, right? The crazy one with the glasses. Just because like the action she does with her eyes, I thought the crazy eyes she had, that scene was really impressive.
So this one crazy eyes.
Yeah.
And she gets a great death scene. I've got a photo of it here.
Yeah, Sever says, yeah.
It was quite a decent effect.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense because I'm happy you brought this up because that was I was a little bit more critical than the first time I saw it. It's like, why is all these intestines coming out, which is just being stabbed in the back of her head?
I was wondering that too. I'm like, is she vomiting or what's happening here?
That was interesting.
Wilco, I'm looking at this shot here, and I'm
Which one?
seeing a beautiful depth of field.
Yeah.
That betrays any idea that this was shot on a cheap handheld.
No, I don't know.
This
Okay.
definitely looks like he at least hired a half decent camera and got a very nice lens to shoot.
Okay,
this.
well, next time I see him, I'll ask him. Well, it is true. There is more quality in this. So, but I guess my copy is just giving it a fuzzy look. But yeah, I'll ask him if I see him again. I'll ask him if what kind of camera he used for Machine Girl.
You might have to upgrade that. There's another bit actually here. So we can see a shot here right now of Army holding the machine gun. There's a shot at the end of the film where the gun falls apart, and there's just massive rods, and there's solid rods. There's no hollow to indicate that there would be a barrel for any bullets to come down. Is that a movie fuck up, or am I looking too much into that scene there?
I think it's a fuck up.
I think it's a fuck up. They just they just got whatever polls they could get.
Yeah, that got me. So the intro, there's a couple things. Now, you know what? Now that we're talking about the movie, I'm starting to pick holes through it. So
Good. Continue.
If we go longer, we're going to just completely rip this poor film apart. Okay, so I've got another one for you. When the brother asks for money to buy a video game, very clearly they're not a rich family. So when he comes home that night, I would have thought the first thing she would be asking him is, where's the video game and why aren't you playing it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought about that too, just briefly. I'm like, how come she never asked about the video game?
Well, isn't
another thing too is the brother's death scene I thought was weird, because you look at where they're holding him over, it's like they're only like 2 floors up.
Yes, that didn't click with me either, that he could
this poor movie, we're gonna make it a bad review now.
No, look, we love Iguchi. There's not much Iguchi stuff that he's made that we don't like.
There's a lot of hokiness in this movie, and that is undeniable. It's just more like, are you accepting it for its, for the whole global experience, or are you gonna pick it apart one by one? It's just which choice are you making? Personally, I see the flaws, but I still keep it in the I enjoy it as a whole, and I'm not gonna pick it apart. I'm just gonna enjoy it as the charming product it is, as the feature.
Well, if we're going to pick it apart, let's have a look at this photo.
I just noticed this when, as soon as you put this up, I just noticed it now. We're talking about picking it apart.
Yeah, and he's not talking about the panty shot. He's talking about the gun.
Oh, wait a minute. I have to refocus. Oh, so not... Okay, yeah.
Well, that's why the panty shot's in that scene, probably, so you're not looking at the gun.
To confuse me. Well, also, but also in the movie, clear as day, that chainsaw is also bent. When the chainsaw flies through the air, it also has a bend in it, and then when it falls on the ground, it's the real chainsaw, and all of a sudden it's straight and hard and iron. But then when it's flying through the air, you just also see the rubbery thing. And also when the guy in the beginning, the mechanic, is doing the screws, when he's like talking to Ami while he's like tightening the screws of the machine gun when he's still fixing it, you can see him like pushing it down like it's all made out of rubber.
Yes.
So
yes,
you can see it has no weight and no, how you call that, no solidness in it. It's not it's not solid at all. It's just very, very fluffy.
Now this background looks so familiar. And I know you're going to say, everything. There's a lot of these kind of places in Japan, but you'd swear to God that Lust of the Dead was shot here. I Am Hero was shot here.
I wouldn't be surprised, because if it's a location that people use, then if they need a shrine, they will automatically go there. But I can also assume that Noboru already thought about this place when he was writing it, because that's what these guys do. They know what they can use, who have what for their money, and they will be like, oh, let's go to the shrine for the end. Because why were they at the shrine even to start with, right? So just add it in the end of the movie.
Well, like you were saying, they were kind of pumping these movies out, so you got to imagine they had ready locations, ready sets they could just plug into any of these movies they're filming. So it's like, this week they're filming Machine Girl there, next week they're going to be filming something else at that same place.
Yeah.
What about this scene here? And then for those on the podcast, this is the scene of the chef who's forced to cut off his own fingers and then eat them sushi style. for you guys, how are you guys feeling during this scene?
I wasn't feeling anything particular. I'm just like, I don't think I was really focused too much on the scene. It's just one of the things that happens in the movie.
Mhm.
It didn't really jump out to me as anything strange compared to, in the light of all the other strange stuff that happens in this movie.
Well, I was a little bit more imagining, because that's, if you really want a movie, even if it's bad or if it's mediocre, if you start imagining you're the lead, it gets a whole nother level of shittiness or scariness, or at least it changes the context. And I did that with a few of these scenes, and I must say, the moment the kids were thrown off that, you know, how you call that, when they were thrown off the building, I thought that was horrible, because I could kind of imagine being thrown out. Also because it was, you know, you don't expect that in the beginning, that these kids will go that far, but then to be thrown off a building and then, you know, get squashed down on the hard concrete, it's not really a pleasant idea. And I had the same thing twice in this movie. And the second time was with this scene we're looking at now, that he had to eat his own fingers. It's bad enough he had to cut them all off, but then you have forced to eat them. And then so you know, putting myself in the chef's place, I thought it was quite nasty.
Is this from any other movie, or is this the original finger sushi scene that you see in a lot of when people talk about kind of splatter films? This is the finger sushi scene, right?
I have no idea. I know of this one. I don't know if it's in other movies or not. Could be.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like I said, you guys are definitely much more into these types of movies than me.
Yeah.
So I don't know of any others.
Makes me wonder, Dan, do you hear a lot about finger eating sushi?
Well, you know, here in Melbourne, some dodgy restaurants. I'm sure, you know, finger sushi's been made, and toe sushi, I'm sure, has been made too. So you never know. You never know. It's people that I haven't seen for a long time. I don't know what happened to them. The family, the Yakuza family, is the mother. Perry did mention this. The mother's really sadistic. She's a bit crazy.
Yep.
And so she has a backstory where she was a biker gang member, and that's supposedly where she's got her kind of toughness from. But
wasn't that Miki who was the biker gang member?
Oh, I thought that was the mother. Ooh,
because Miki mentions being part of the biker gang, and she says like that she talks when she's talking with her husband.
Right.
Yeah,
so where's the mother from then?
I don't know. I also missed the part that the mother was from a biker gang.
Yeah, I think you're mixing it up with Miki.
Oh yeah, that's my COVID brain still kicking in. The mother definitely said she was from something. Then she was some kind of.
Well, she does talk about, you know, that her son is much more of a ninja than her husband. And she says that's because I raised him right. So I think she's like, you know, like I think she's also from a ninja clan, is kind of what she was saying.
Okay, that would make a little bit more sense. It's this scene here after the chef accidentally spills the soup on the son, or the hot, I'm assuming it's soup, where you feel like the wife's just going to say, yes, my husband's a bit hot-headed, that's fine, you can go. But then she just snaps, does a 180, and goes, he's too soft. You must be punished. So she's a real psycho. She's a real. No wonder the kid's a bit fucked up, to be honest. And the poor maid. The same thing happens to the maid. What?
Yeah,
she does something wrong.
She comes in and says your breakfast is ready when he's having, you know, father-son time.
Right. Yeah. And she gets killed just for that.
No, she doesn't get killed for that because I'm not sure, because the wife is killing the maid later. Right? And
yeah,
it's the same
I think
thing.
it's more like you know, the proverbial straw. It was just
yeah,
because he says you're always messing up.
Yeah,
and then there's a character later on where Army is looking for the family, or is it Mickey? One of the two of them, and
Mickey,
they meet the old lady on the street, and she says the Yakuza family
Mickey
used to live there. Thank God they've moved out.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very empowering kind of statement. Like, is that something that people would say in Japan now about Yakuza? Thank God you're not there anymore.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Of course.
that's one of the reasons why they had the Yakuza crackdown a few years about was it 10 years back? I think was because of people regular people in the community starting to get together and starting to organize about it. So yeah, it's definitely they won't say anything while the family's there, but after the family's gone, they'll be like, "Oh, thank God that family's gone now."
Yeah, I didn't know why they moved though, because nothing really big happened to move.
That's a good question.
I think it was just that what Sho said when he came to when he brought the ninjas by, he said, "Oh, you guys are trying to follow us." So, which is weird because it's not like I don't see why they think they pose a threat. It was just just seemed like a reason to extend that, put off that final battle a little bit longer.
Well, I will give you that. What Dan asked earlier about what the message would be. Well, one thing is very clear. It's about revenge. And the revenge is being explored. So it's about not only is it that the bad guy's kind of annoyed that these people want revenge on them. So it's like, well, would you please stop having your revenge? Because it doesn't make, you're not going to win anyway. And then also that these parents, that they want revenge on Ami and Miki because they were killed by them. So we have this loop of revenge over there. So it just continues with the next one. And so I guess in that way, very subtle, there are some revenge themes and motives that are being explored, but then very, very lightly, because after that it's just full on crazy action and there's no consequences. It's just, but yeah, that is a little bit of an exploration of the theme of vengeance. In that,
it's a similar way to that Kill Bill did it in the opening scene when she kills Vivica Fox, then her daughter's watching, and she says, "If you're still mad about it in 20 years, you come find me."
Yeah,
and then which doesn't happen again. So that's kind of like the same type of idea where there's this idea that okay, well it's a cycle that you're participating in.
So three of those parents were the parents of the ninjas.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
and I'm trying to remember where the other parent was from.
But that is the guy from the bathtub. That's the cop.
Is it?
Yeah,
that's the husband of the tempura woman.
Oh, so he's still alive.
He's still alive. Yeah.
I was also wondering that because she only sprayed blood on him, and then it just cut away. So he just was alive, I guess. She just walked away after that. But yeah,
which is a weird choice she makes. But
yeah,
I could see why he
a revenge quest.
Now.
Yeah.
All right. So
okay.
In total, if we were to give the movie a rating, which is not something that we do often,
I was thinking about that.
Looking at? Out of 5 stars.
Perry?
I'll probably give it 3. It's it's entertaining enough. It's not great cinema, but I think Yashido really kind of saves the movie from being one of the more schlocky ones, but just by her earnestness in it. She seems to be taking it very seriously, but not to the point where the seriousness affects the movie, if that makes any sense. It's very simple. It's kind of like you think about Leslie Nielsen in Airplane, where he's playing it completely straight. It's kind of the same vibe here, and that her playing it as straight as she does, it works in the midst of all this craziness, and it kind of helps set her apart.
She's straight without being stoic, which is something that I really appreciate. Yeah, I'm really hating the stoicness of Japanese cinema because I don't find those kind of characters entertaining at all, and it's part of the reason I dislike the driver in Drive My Car, because she's so fucking stoic, and I just want to shake her and go, show me some damn emotion, lady. But then I see everyone praising her performance, and I'm thinking, God, I must have missed something. But you're right. I look back at the lead in this movie, and she looks like she's having genuine fun in the film, while also not overacting, but also not underacting. So she seems to have found a balance where she's enjoying herself.
She has this weird blinking throughout the movie. That's the only thing that she. Sometimes when she's just looking in the camera, she's just starting to blink like a cat trying to say "I love you." It's like, I don't know. It's like that's the only thing that I noticed, the weird blinking now and then.
I've got to give it to Iguchi. He does find very good-looking lead actresses. So
true.
Nice one for him on that one.
Also, I got to say, like, I love the poster art for this, the cover art. It's, which Dan's got right behind him in there. It's just that's why I bought this movie, was because I saw that DVD cover. I'm like, oh my God, that looks amazing. It's just beautifully shot, beautifully photographed, beautifully posed. Everything about it it's perfect.
Beautifully photoshopped.
Beautifully photoshopped. Yeah.
It's a lot of filters in that sky behind her, and a lot of airbrushing in her skin. But yeah, that does look terrific. And
so, what about your rating, Dan?
In regards to splatter films, I think the production gets at about a 3.5, because production-wise, it certainly feels great. But in the grand scheme of just movies, it's probably a 2.5. Because, as Perry does mention, that middle is a bit slow and kind of betrays the pacing of the film. And I did say, we start with a gore fountain, we end with a gore fountain, but we don't have anything really in the middle other than tempura arm. We missed a bit of the gore in the middle. So for pacing issues, it gets a 2.5. But in the context of gore, it's definitely one of the higher ones.
All right.
Yeah.
As a random movie of movies, I will give it a 3. But as a movie of its kind and where it belongs, I'll give it a 4.
Beautiful. What would you think would be higher than this? Well, that's putting you on the spot.
No, because my favorite movies of those, if you look at the best ones, you have Machine Girl, Frankenstein Girl, and Vampire Girl vs. Frankenstein Girl, and Mutant Girl Squad. Those are my favorites. And I think they're all going to be 4. What would be better? Better would be very outstanding. I do think that Tokyo Gore Police, if you just look at gore, gets maybe a 4.5, because it has it all. But I will still give it a 4. I don't think there's a 5. Maybe I'm still looking for that 5.
I don't think there's a 5 yet. Perry, I know you've said a few times you're not heavy into the splatter genre, but comparing it to other splatter films that you've seen, where would you put it?
I think I probably agree with Wilco. I think I probably place it a 4 then. I mean, when you're talking about, if I'm thinking Grindhouse in general, like, I would say I probably put like Planet Terror above this as like, that would be like a 5 for me, I think.
I would give
cheats 'cause it's American.
If you actually, the director of Versus, Ryuhei Kitamura, is actually my favorite Japanese director before these new guys came along. And I would give 5s to some of his movies. I would give a 5 to Azumi, and I would give a 5 to Sky High. But that's just because they're very...
Sky High is a great one, yeah.
Because they're very personal favorites of mine. They're stylish, they are well shot. And even Azumi had blood fountains, as far as I know, because that's kind of the summarized style, right? So yeah, those would be higher, but that's also way higher quality and don't belong in that category at all. Because you make me think about what would be 5.
Yeah, what would be 5?
I mean, would you qualify? I mean, I know it's not part of this era, but would you qualify Lady Snowblood as being like part of one as like this type? Because that would probably be a 5.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Isn't that a classic? Like
yeah, that's like from 1979. I think.
Let me have a look at it. Sorry, I'm looking it up while you're talking.
Yeah, but it's the same as Kitamura. I'm just looking in a different pool in order to find a 5.
Yeah.
Trying to get it. So I'm gonna just stop here, and then if I find a 5, I'll let you guys know.
Yes, the Snowblood's from 73.
73. Okay, I was way off.
And there was a follow-up in 74.
Love Song of Vengeance. Yeah.
And then there seems to be that's nothing related. No.
So there was like a sci-fi remake version called The Princess Blade, but that's like basically similar type of story, but it's not connected to the other one.
Okay. And then when you talk about Kitamura films, I don't think I've seen any of his films, to be honest.
You should start watching them.
I think I should.
Wait, didn't you see Versus? Didn't he do Versus?
I did, but I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen Versus? Oh, okay. Yeah, you got to see Versus.
You should see my list of Asian films that everyone else has seen that I haven't, Perry. It's like this long. It's a ridiculously long film.
He mentioned Azumi. I actually have that one, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I saw it on your list. I recommend it.
Oh, that does
the second one is not as strong as the first one. There's a sequel, but it's a cash-in sequel. The first one is the one to go with.
So here it's described as an adventure, drama, action, thriller, romance. I think someone just went crazy with the genres.
Yeah, just all of them.
Yeah. It's IMDb, I'm guessing.
TMDB, but
okay.
because that's a lot worse than IMDb. Yeah, the costumes are great.
Well, Kitamura, you know, he's directed. He also did. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but Midnight Meat Train. It was an American movie.
He's in the U.S. now, and he also he's doing a few more low budget movies now. Midnight Meat Train was one of his bigger budget ones, and I guess it wasn't as successful. So now he's doing a little bit more, Hollywood low budget horror movies. Like I think his last one that I saw was
Nightmare Cinema.
Was it Get Out? It was something about Don't Leave or Leave. One of the later ones. I forgot the title.
I see The Doorman, Nightmare Cinema.
Yeah.
I don't see No One Lives.
No One Lives. That one. I mean,
okay, that's quite old, Wilco.
Yeah. He also did Godzilla Final Wars, which I heard is fun. I haven't seen it yet though.
I would have to ask Norman about that. He'd know all about Godzilla.
That's true. That's also that's a good one. So that's one of my favorite Japanese directors beside Tsukamoto, and of course these people we're talking about right now, Noboru Nishimura and stuff like that.
What about Alive? Because I have that one, but after I got it, I saw a lot of people saying it wasn't that good.
Well, they're not all, as good. Alive is very much in one location, and it's with Tuck. You should just watch it because it's a Kitamura movie, which means it's trying to be stylish. It's just a lower budget movie. It has a little bit less content. Maybe that's the issue with it. But, it is one of the lesser ones, but it's still a Kitamura movie. So you have to watch it. I think it's also shorter.
Well, since it's 2 hours long, so I don't see how.
Oh, 2 hours? Alive?
Alive, yep.
Oh, I don't remember. You're a long time in one location, so maybe I just felt like it was 45 minutes. But so let's go to next episode's movie. How about that?
Yes. Now, I couldn't get the trailer working, so I hope.
Oh shit.
Hopefully, yeah. Sorry. Oh shit. So hopefully, Wilco, do you have the trailer ready?
No, Perry can help us out.
I can help you out here. Just give me a second here.
So
let's first watch the trailer and then let's talk about it.
I have to say, Alive looks interesting. Looks very interesting.
I must say, I watched Alive a long time ago. So, but it's a Kitamura movie. I enjoyed it. I don't know if it's maybe it's less good than the others, but it's still good.
He looks like a cool bloke, to be honest. Good luck there, Perry. Oh, here we go. There we go.
All right.
Kill one person in a month, or you sleep forever?
Like the camera angles there.
This is a puppet, the material form of the brain's anger. Go! Jessica, you've got to survive.
I'm not getting much of a story from this trailer, Wilco.
Why do you keep using my name? Killer alive.
That I need to live for.
If something were to ever happen to me, if I were to die...
Don't say that. You know I can't live
without I know that dude.
I can't trust anyone these days.
Are you okay?
No, I don't even...
I have to say the title's pretty cool. I do like the title Viral Dead.
Yeah, okay, so that was the
How many
trailer.
people have you killed?
Viral Soon. So that's the trailer
Yeah.
for Viral Dead, directed by Ishii Terayoshi, who is the father of J-horror. We will talk about that more next episode. This is basically the Lost culture shock film. It's the 5th film of the 5 films that we did. End of this year, we hope to have 4 released, but this one was bought from us by the director, so he finished it himself, made his own trailer. I have nothing to do with any of the marketing or where it's distributed at all. But yes, it is one that I produced. It's just my name's not on it because it got bought off by the director because he didn't want it to be part of our collection. So let's give it a watch, and then let's see what we think about it next episode. But what do you think about the trailer?
I think it reminds me a lot of Away to Japan, the installing of the app with the Kokuri-san, with the blonde American lead. And the murder, obviously. So I'm getting a bit of a Away to Japan, although I did like the death scene of the 2 knives going through the eyeballs. That I'm looking forward to seeing that. And recognize our old friend from Tokyo Homestay Massacre.
True.
Who I feel should have died in that film. So I'm hoping that I get to see him finally get murdered on screen. Sorry, mate, whoever, can't remember your name, but I hope to see you get murdered on screen. I'm looking forward to it. Don't spoil it for me, please, Mr. Rullens.
No, I won't. I mean, I'm not going to say anything about it. I mean, so what do you think, Barry?
Looks interesting. I'm not quite. I thought I was kind of figuring out what the story's all about, and then I saw these guys fighting like samurai style on a stage. So I'm not sure what it's. I'm not really sure what it is, but I'm interested.
It is genre bending. So it is. It is because it's by the godfather of J-horror, so it has a little bit of the ghost elements in it, but it's actually a death game, and then at the end they even fight the ghost one-on-one in karate battle. I don't know.
Chinese horror movie style, hey?
Yeah, I guess it's more Chinese horror movie style in that way. Yeah. So so we will discuss that movie next episode, and let's learn from Perry and have a little short summary before we start talking about on episode 17. We should start doing that.
Just to give you a bit of an insight, Perry, a couple of times Wilco and I we've watched a couple of Chinese horror movies because they are just the worst of the worst. And we came across a movie called Bunshin Sabo Hoichi the Earless, which has absolutely nothing to do with the classic tale of Hoichi from Kwaidan. But we both watched the film and we fell in love with it because what it was a spirit battle movie where the Chinese spirit Pen Fairy took on Sadako. Well, actually, she teamed up with Sadako from Japan to fight the Kumanthong from Thailand. And it was absolutely batshit insane, which is what the Chinese do. They can't make proper horror movies, so they make these insane films. And it has inspired the two of us to look at spirit battle movies more in the future. So there's a recommendation for you and your listeners. If they're ever interested in a Chinese horror movie, they're terrible, but we recommend Bunshin Sabo Hoichi the Earless.
Yes,
which can be
which is
found
the
on
third
YouTube.
movie in a let's say loose trilogy of Bunshin Saba versus Sadako. There's the title already says it, and then the best one is Bunshin Saba versus Sadako 2, and then the third one is called Hoichi the Earless. Is just it's as good as 2. 2 is maybe a slightly better battles, but the third one is just. The third one is great because there's 3 ghosts fighting. So, and then Dan and I, we want to have 10 ghosts now. So we're going to collect ghosts, and we want all of them to fight each other.
Like, it gets to the point where they realize they can't beat this Kumanthong Perry, so they realize that they need to call Sadako, but they need the Pen Fairy and Sadako to make friends first to team up so that they have a combined power. And just the scene of them doing that is just ridiculous. Like it's just these 2 long-haired girls looking at each other.
Yeah, and the third one was the first one that I saw, so I wasn't prepared. So I was just watching the movie, and I was like, okay, a Chinese horror movie, okay, let's bring it on. All of a sudden, it was like, we need some help. We need some extra energy. All right, I'll do it. What are you gonna do? I'll watch the cursed tape. I'm like, what? And then they watched the cursed tape, and then Sadako came out. I'm like, what? And then before I know it, it was like 3 of these long-haired ghost girls battling. I'm like, what the hell? What's going on here? I love it.
As insane as it sounds. What's next for Japan on film, Perry?
Yeah.
Well, we're still filming they're still recording the season, so we're hoping the episodes start dropping in March. And so the first one will probably be Shall We Dance? So we've got Patrick Terry, who came on the show a few times before. He's coming back on, and we're going to be looking at Shall We Dance, some of the different aspects of that it talks about with Japanese culture, like we usually do. And that's going to be what's coming up first. After that, I don't know. I don't have the schedule in front of me. Well, I think Grave of the Fireflies comes up after that. So
okay. So, but you record the entire season before you air it?
Yeah, because with me being in Japan and my other guests being all over the world and my schedule being kind of all over the place, it's right now, this is like a good time for me to record because university is on break. So it gives me a chance to get stuff lined up and record episodes in advance and then kind of release them all at once.
That's cool. It's like Culture Shock. We shot 5 films, then we lost one, then we lost another one, but then we released them slowly year by year. But hey, the 4th one is coming back. So hopefully this year we'll have 2.
Yeah. Excellent.
All right.
And the website, japanonfilm.com if you're interested. And my own stuff, my own writing and all that kind of stuff, my books, all of that can be found at percivalconstantine.com.
Oh, wait. Books? You wrote books?
Yeah, I've got like about 30 some books out.
30?
Yeah.
About what? Like fiction books or?
Yeah, fiction. All sorts of genres. Mainly these days, I'm doing mostly urban fantasy type stuff. But I've done horror. I've done pulp adventure. I've done superheroes. Right now, I'm also doing a science fiction serial on Kindle Vella. So yeah, I'm kind of all over the place. Starting to begin work on a comic book as well. Doing it all myself. So we'll see how that comes along.
All right.
It's a lot now. Yeah.
Is all that information
than I thought it would be.
Is all that information on japanonfilm.com?
All of that information is on percivalconstantine.com, but there's a link to that on Japan on Film as well.
All right. So everybody go to Japan on Film and find that link to the, what was it?
Percival?
percivalconstantine.com.
Wow, it's a mouthful. So go to Japan on Film and find the link.
Perry, before we go, what's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Oh, Jesus.
Asian. It has to be Asian, though.
Favorite Asian movie? Okay.
Yeah, Asian movie.
Battle Royale.
Wow. Okay. We've never spoken about that, Wilco.
I guess we will have to ask him. Oh, wait a minute. Do you also do movies you already did or not?
Well, I love Battle Royale, and I teach that in my class every year. And honestly, I could go on for hours on that movie. So I did an episode of it back when I was doing it just solo, but there's still so much stuff about it I could say. So I would be willing to revisit that movie.
So there could be a part 2 for you then. Yeah, maybe we should consider that to have you back and talk about Battle Royale.
I would love to do that. Yeah,
that sounds awesome. Well, gentlemen, as we say, good evening. Good night. See, this is what happens. It gets late in the night. I have no fucking idea what I'm saying. I'm just tired and I want to go to bed. This happens every episode. I'm sorry.
Well, it sounds very, very, very good. Very optimistic. Good for our listeners. I'm tired. I want to go to bed. Go away.
Episode 17 is in 2 weeks' time. We will be talking about Viral
Dead.
That's it.
Viral Dead.
Viral Dead.
And, anything else about Tokyo Bay Films, there is a link tree in the description. So if you want to check something out, go there to find more info.
Beautiful.
That's what I wanted to say.
Otherwise, I'll say good night to everyone. Perry, just hang around for a few seconds.
Okay, great.
We'll be going.
All right. Good night.
Thanks for watching this episode of Japan on Film. For more of our videos, just hit the subscribe button.